FMW. Okay, so now that I have the
Oh my god, dude.
Okay,
Can't.
last time. Last time. If
Hold
not,
on.
I'll do this on my own. Hey, welcome back to another episode of We Build, We Learn, and today we are going digital. A few weeks ago, I asked myself the question on the Ham Radio Clubhouse show to FT8 or to not FT8. And I honestly believe it's important to try something before we discredit it or dismiss it. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. I received a parcel from Ham Radio Outlet today, and I think it's everything I need to make my computer communicate with my rig. So we're not going to cover every little detail about FT8. I think it's important to realize that we're going to go through the hardware, the setup, our computer setup, and just get our program set up so we can make an initial contact. There are a lot of little details and intricacies that we can't cover in a 23-minute video, but let's at least get started, and we'll probably cover more of this later on in another video. So I hope you stick around, and I hope we learn something together. Let's get digital. To do digital modes on HF, you need to have a way of communicating between your computer and your rig. And some newer rigs have integrated sound cards, but for myself, my rig doesn't have an integrated sound card. And so I had to find something that would make the connection between the computer and the rig. So I chose to go with a signal link. Now, you can find signal links on Ham Radio Outlet's website, but there is numerous different options. And to really get a good idea of what your rig needs without any confusion, I suggest you go to Tigertronic's website, and on that website you will find a document in which you can see all the different manufacturer rigs. You can find your specific rig and find exactly what product you need. Now, in this document, you will see that there are 3 different SKUs for each different rig. You'll see the first SKU is the actual kit. The second one is just the cable that goes between your rig and the kit. And the third one is a jumper module. Now, that jumper module will come in later, but it is not necessary to purchase. You can achieve what you want to by just buying the kit. So I've received my signal link, and like I said, it comes with everything you need, even without that jumper module. Now, the signal links, no matter which kit you purchase, are all identical. The difference is the cable that goes between this and your rig. It's specific for the port that you have on your rig, depending on the manufacturer. So the only thing that we have to do is we actually have to open this up, and we need to do some internal wiring based on the rig model that we have. Now, they provide these little jumper cables, and it kind of looks like a breadboard where you can make the connections that you need to. But that jumper module I talked about actually replaces that. And it's actually just, in my opinion, it's a better alternative than the wires, and it's not that expensive. It's $8.50, and it's simply a plug and play. So let's take a look at that. We're going to open this up, and we're going to make that connection. And then technically, we're ready to hook up our rig to our computer through the signal link. All right, so the first thing we have to do is we have to loosen all these screws and remove them on the front of this signal link module. Now, signal link is very, very clear in their instructions to make sure that before you do any work on this module and in putting the jumper module into place, that you discharge any static electricity that is on your body. So they suggest an easy way to do this, if you do not have a wrist strap, is to simply touch your computer or touch your rig to try and discharge the static electricity that's built up on you in that way. Now, when we open this up, we're going to slide it very, very carefully forward, and you're going to see that the actual board itself is sitting on the lower ridges. We can see that right there. Okay? We just want to remember that when we put it back together. All right, now that we've dispersed the static electricity charge, we have this module in my hand here, and you can see that in the front here there's that little half moon that is printed into the board, and we can see there's a corresponding one right there. So very carefully we want to line up the pins, and we want to make sure that we do not bend any of the pins. So we're going to just carefully let it float into place, and I haven't pushed it in yet, but it kind of dropped into the space, and I'm just going to verify that everything lines up. And now that I've verified that it does, I'm going to gently push this into place. There you go. It just clicked like that. And now we are set. So this is in place, and we want to make sure that it's very easy with those boards that you stagger the pins by accident. So we want to make sure we take our time and line everything up. So now that that is complete, we're going to remember the bottom channel that this was sitting on, and we're going to gently insert it and just slide this back. Now, when we're sliding it shut, we can verify the back that everything lines up and that it goes into place very nicely, and never force on any of this stuff. Just take your time. Everything's sitting in there well. My front cover is sitting right up against the chassis, and we're just going to gently put these screws in, making sure that we're not going to cross thread it, and as well as we're going to make sure that we don't over tighten them, because we don't want to break any of the plastic. This front cover here looks like it is a plastic, and so we're just going to do this very gently, and then we are done with doing any of the internal work that we have to do on this signal link. All right, so now that the signal link is all set up, I've hooked it up to the rig and I've hooked it up to the computer. Now I need a little bit of help from my friend Dan KD3FMW, and I'm going to bring Dan onto the show right now, and let's see if he can help us get this set up. Hey Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Dan. What's going on?
Not much. Dan, I have the signal link hooked up.
Okay.
I've done all the internal setup that they require for me to do for my specific rig. I've hooked it up to the back of my Yaesu, and I've hooked it into my computer.
Okay.
And now I don't really understand FT8 and how it works. So do I need to download any kind of driver for this module?
So for the signal link itself, it's already a built-in sound card. All you would need to do is just make sure that the sound card, it does show up in your driver's list, or it does show up on your devices list for your computer. So you would go into the Windows settings to double check that.
Okay. Now, from what I understand, I believe that signaling says that Windows will automatically download the driver for you when you hook it up. So, okay, awesome. All right. So is there any kind of system configuration we have to do on the computer itself?
So what you want to do is after you've got everything hooked up and your drivers are downloaded and everything, you want to go into the sound settings to make sure that your excuse me, to make sure that that is not the default device for your system sounds. So you go to System Sounds.
Okay.
And then you got to click on a Sound Control Panel.
So at the top right here.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
So your device is there. I can't see them correctly here, but you should have, read them off to me. You have speakers.
So I have speakers, my USB audio.
Okay.
That is going to my mixer, I believe. I have speakers 3 USB audio codecs, and then I have speakers Avery, which is my headset, and I have another speaker, which I believe is the internal speaker. Okay. Is a way to test this just to unplug the USB for the signal link and then plug it back in and see which one disappears? Would that work?
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay, we'll do that just to make sure.
Okay, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that if you're going for whatever your audio out is, okay, you don't want that one there. You don't want that one to be listed as a default for anything. Okay, so it looks, if you look at your device list, your first one says default device. Your second one just says ready, and ready. So it looks like you're not going to be going out to the signal link, with your default system sounds. Click on recording.
Perfect. Where's recording? Recording. Okay. Yeah.
So now you have your microphones. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be the same thing. You don't want that to be listed as a default device for the USB or 3 USB, which whatever it was.
All right. Cool. Okay. So just press OK.
Just press OK. All right.
Awesome.
And then you can close out of this window.
Okay, great. So are we essentially set up? The computer itself is set up, and then the rest of it is in like a program. Is that how that works?
You would need to go into, in order for digital modes, you need to download digital mode software. So you've got a couple different options. FT8 and FT4 are done with WSJT-X or JTDX. I usually recommend WSJT-X.
Okay.
It's a simple interface to follow. So I'll go ahead, just go ahead, do a Google search for it. I don't remember. The website is the Princeton Physics.
Physics.princeton.edu.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, and then that's the documentation is the first section, and I believe, hold on, your installation packages are right there in the middle of the page.
Okay.
All right, and then you want to, whichever version you have, 32 or 64-bit.
Okay, so 64-bit is in reference to how our Windows is set up, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And most computers are 64-bit, right?
At this time, they are, yes. They are. There are still a lot of machines that they use the 32-bit architecture, but they are few and far between at this point.
So we've set up our hardware, we've set up our computer, and so now we've downloaded the program. We're going to do the install. As always, just click accept, 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 and then, well, our program is up and running. So let's do the initial install so we can just get started in FT8.
All right, so now you have WSJT-X open. Okay, you're going to go to File, Setup, or Settings. All right, first thing you want to do is center your call sign, or the station call sign. All right, your grid square. Okay, and those are the two basic pieces of information that are needed on this screen. So you can go to the next screen for radio. Now, since you're using the signal link box, all right, you don't need to have cat control for the radio. You can leave it as Vox. What the signal link will do is it'll trigger PTT from the box itself. So you can leave that alone. All right, go to your next tab over, which would be audio.
Okay.
All right, so now you want to change your sound cards, your input and your output. So if you click the down arrow, make sure you choose the, I believe you said we said it was USB 3. You know, whichever the code, whichever that USB one is for the signal link.
Yeah, I remember the input was on the microphone input. It was the line 2. It was those RCA cables. So that was that. And the output was the 4 USB codecs.
Yes. So here you go. Here's your basic layout of your screen. Okay. So across the top, you have your menu bar. Okay. Down the left-hand side, those would be all of your decodes. That's everything that the radio is, or that the software is listening to through the radio. Everything that's on
that's
the
in this
right,
square here.
That's in that square there. Everything that's on the right-hand square is stuff that you're on, you know, that you're listening to for the audio frequency that you have on your band, for your pass band, for what you're listening to when it says RX frequency in the bottom. We'll get to that in a second. Go down to the bottom left, okay? You'll see you have CQ only. You have a list of buttons across the bottom, okay? What we'll do is we'll get to those in just a moment, but you see where you have a drop down for 20 meters. It says 20M.
Yes, right here in the corner. Yeah.
So yeah, so you click that. That'll tell you the the bands that it's supposed to be on for the mode that you're on. Okay. Now
so you don't have to remember the frequencies. It's right there.
Yeah, you don't have to remember all the frequencies off the top of your head. All right, they will show up in there. Okay, and that's for the mode that you're in. Okay. And we'll you can figure out which mode you're in just a moment. Okay, so then you'll look at the window to the left, to the right of that, where it has a frequency readout.
Yeah.
Okay, and then underneath that you have DX call, DX grid. That's their call sign and their grid square. Okay.
Okay.
The next box down is the UTC time. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to make sure that your time is synced up to one of the national servers or to internet time. It's got to be within 1 second of everybody else's time in order to decode properly. Underneath that, you see a green box and a pink box. All right. The green box tells you what's going on at the moment. The green means you're receiving. Red would be transmitting. The box to the left of that gives you your mode. Okay, so I can, what is that, JT65 or JS8? Or what is that mode there?
Where, right here?
Yes.
It says JT9.
Okay, so you're going to change your mode. So if you go back up to the top of the screen to where it says mode.
Yeah.
You're going to change it to FT8. So you have FT4, you have FT8. Okay, so those are, real quick, we're going to go off the FT4 or FT8. Okay. So now you see what the frequency is for FT4 for 20 meters is 14074. You want to make sure that your radio, is tuned to 14074, that all of your filtering is off, and that your the width of your frequency is as wide as it can go. So you're not narrowing anything out. So all the filters off, everything, no filtering on it whatsoever. Just let the raw audio come through. Right now, if you look at your decode screen, you'll see you're getting some decodes.
Okay.
All right, so you hear that. Now, on your signal link, you have a volume button, right?
Yes, I do. I have transmit and receive.
Okay, so for receive, all right, look at the meter that's in the bottom left-hand side of the screen on WSJT-X. That is your receive meter. Okay.
Okay, the one right here at the bottom underneath the
Yes.
band selector. Okay,
yes.
Perfect.
So what you want to do is you want to increase the receive volume, okay, until a little more. You want it you're aiming for, I believe, what is that, 6? What's the second number down? 40? Or do you think it's 20, 40, 80?
From the top down, it's 80, then 60, then 40, then 20.
You want it around 60.
Awesome.
So the next thing that you're going to do, you're going to want to set the meter on your radio to look at the ALC, the output, the audio level control output for it. So you have the meter, you have power output, SWR, and so on. You want to be able to see what the ALC is. So you now have basic setup, okay?
Okay.
Where you're decoding messages, okay?
Okay.
So let's continue on with the bottom section of WSJT-X, okay?
We're looking at what all this is, right?
Yes. Okay, so you have TX even odd, okay? So, or TX first, okay?
Okay.
That means that you're transmitting your 15 seconds at 0 and 30, okay? So you're transmitting on 0, receiving at 15, transmitting at 30, receiving at 45.
Okay.
Okay, and that's so if you have it on now where you see it's 0214, you'd be transmitting now if you had it selected as first.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay. So the next button over says hold TX frequency.
Yeah.
Okay. That is the frequency in the waterfall at which your audio is going out. Okay. And then you'll see there's 2 buttons between TX and RX. Okay. What those 2 do is you can change, like if you're transmitting at one frequency, you can receive at a different one. And if you want to change whichever one without clicking through or typing in you can quick change with that up or down arrow. It'll take whatever's in the top one to the bottom or the bottom one to the top.
Okay.
So it matches them. All right. The next box down is the report level. That is automatically filled when you start to call CQ or when it automatically goes through through the sequence. You have at the bottom, you have 2 more buttons. You have auto sequence or auto SEQ. Okay, what that does is that automatically goes through your TX, your sequences from transmitting CQ or transmitting your grid square to somebody, to them replying. It'll automatically go through the messages. Okay.
Okay.
Call first is if you're calling CQ, the first message it decodes with your call sign in it. It says, "Hey, I'm calling you back." It'll start a QSO with them.
Okay.
All right. If you leave that all alone, all right,
Mm-hmm.
and you see that in the last few cycles, okay, nothing has been decoded in your frequency window on your right hand window.
Okay.
Go ahead and click Enable TX, and it'll transmit. Right now you're going to be transmitting on odds. Okay. So I usually would, if I'm transmitting odds, I would wait until it got off of odds, and then I would go ahead and, all right. So now if you were to click Enable TX.
So click the TX6 right now.
Nope.
Oh, right here.
Yep. Click that bar there. Click that button there. Okay.
Okay.
What you're going to watch, okay, when it keys your radio, watch your ALC. Okay. Go look at your ALC meter. Okay. You want it to be within the first third of your meter. Okay. So if it's not, you can turn the TX button or the TX knob on the signal link. You can turn that up until you start to see that starting to move. Now it's transmitting. So since it's transmitting now, go ahead and give it a shot and take a look.
It is not doing anything.
Go back in. Go back into File. Go back into your settings.
Yeah.
All right. Change it from the line.
From the output here. Oh, you know what? I think we're on the wrong one. Do you want to try this one?
Try that one.
Okay.
Click OK.
Okay.
All right. So if you click Enable Transmit, it'll wait for the next cycle to come through, and it'll transmit out for you. All right. And like I said, you don't need the Vox setting on your radio.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I'm at 20 watts right now of power going out.
Okay. So it shouldn't be. It should be your ALC meter. All right. So
yeah.
Okay. So you're about you should be a third of the way up the graph. Hey, did you see that red bar?
Yeah.
Somebody's responding to you.
So what do I do? What do I do?
Just let it go. Let it be. You see at the bottom where it automatically generated all those messages.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You have auto sequence enabled. So you called CQ. They called you back. They said, hey, I'm responding to your CQ from this grid square. You're telling them, you're hearing them at what, a 07? Right?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay. So now they're trying to call you again. All right. So they're probably not hearing you.
Really?
They're not hearing you clear enough. So
more power?
So what you could do, more power. So what you could do is on the signaling box, turn the transmit clockwise just a little bit.
Okay. So I've put it up.
And there you go. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. You're good to go. Check it out. He sent you your signal report back. He got you at a -14. You are now telling him Roger, 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 which we're going to fix that because that is annoying.
Okay.
And then you should get a 7.3 back from him. Should get a 7.3 back from him. There you go. So now, you've just completed your contact.
So, Dan, thank you so much. And, well, I hope to make a contact with you on FT8 soon. So,
thanks for having me on, Dan.
And Dan, since we're doing the video on FT8, for those of you who are watching, there is a great event on Thursday evenings called the FT8 Off, and that is either hosted on Ham Radio Dude's YouTube channel,
yes,
or Temporary Offline. Dan is often on that show while it's happening live. Dan has been a big part in making that whole thing happen. So if you're getting into FT8 and if you don't know about the FT8 Off, please join us there. Maybe I'll be there. We'll see. But Dan will definitely be there. And guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And Dan, thank you so much for your help.
No problem, Dan. It's been a pleasure.